Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to what promises to be an electrifying showdown as we here at the Over Manga Cast are diving into a football favorite this time of the year. We are reading Eyeshield 21, chapters 1 through 20, written by Riichiro Inagaki and illustrated by favorite of the channel, Yusuke Murata. Also, we might have a special guest joining us in the stadium this evening. And, I don't know anything else about football. We're nerds here. Enjoy the episode. This podcast is copyrighted by the Over Manga Cast for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this podcast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the podcast without the express written consent of the Over Manga Cast is prohibited.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Over Manga Cast. My name is Sam, and before we get into the property that we read this week, we've got a special guest on the podcast. It's Colton. Hi, Colton.
Yeah! Hey, guys. Did that come across on Discord?
I think it did. You lit
Definitely
up.
Did.
I heard it.
Oh, that's fine. You'll hear it in the edit.
Oh, this is going to be great. It's good to finally be on a show with you, Colton. I've only heard your voice through the editing process.
Well, it's great to be on with you as well.
Happy to have you. And tell the people what you do.
Oh, boy.
I hear you do like a gazillion different things.
I do.
Manga Mavericks and...
Yeah, this is my favorite part of any show is, like, trying to decide, like, which shows I want to highlight, because I do, like, way too many things at one time. But, hi, I'm Colton. I'm a guy who likes manga. I'm sure you guys have never had anyone else on who likes manga before. It's a very rare personality trait. Mm-hmm. I guess people would know me from Manga Mavericks first and foremost, a podcast that I run with my good friend Lamar Mayasha, where we talk about manga not only as a medium, but as an industry. That's our tagline right there. So we cover kind of a wide variety of topics because, as the tagline suggests, we talk about, not just manga, but also, kind of the news surrounding the medium, new serializations, new licenses, there's anything happening in the industry. We're also kind of known for like our big, huge, like retrospectives. We've done episodes on a whole ton of stuff like Dragon Ball, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Dr. Slump, My Love Story. Those are just the few series that come to mind right now. Weirdly, we have not done an episode on Eyeshield 21 yet. That's been one of those things where, it's been like, I really want to do this, but I kind of want to wait till the time is right, So like, I'm really happy that you guys invited me on to talk about this in particular.
Of course, happy to have you. And what is your familiarity with Eyeshield 21?
Oh, boy. So this is a story that I've probably told on like a million different podcasts. So if the listeners out there have heard me talk about the story before, I'm sorry, I'm going to tell it again. Eyeshield 21 is probably one of the most important series I've ever read in my entire life. And I know that sounds really hyperbolic, but I do genuinely really mean that. Because Eyeshield 21 is the manga that kind of opened up my tastes in terms of what else is out there. Because before I got into Eyeshield 21, I was really only into stuff like, let's face it, the quote-unquote the big three, One Piece, Bleach, Naruto, and basically anything else that kind of looked like it. So basically the big battle shonen stuff. And Eyeshield 21 was one of the few series outside of those that my high school library had on hand, like the first 5 volumes or something. And every time I would hang out at the library, I would see it, and I'd be like, what a manga about football? That's gay. I don't like sports, because I said stuff like that at the time. It was a very different time. I kind of eventually just kind of picked it up on a whim. Like, it was one of those things where it's like, well, I've already kind of read all the manga that I'm interested in that my library has, because it's also a very short selection. I got up from class one day, quote unquote, went to the bathroom, except I went to the library. I needed something to read. I picked up the first few volumes of Eyeshield 21, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll read this. I need something to read. I picked it up, went through the first volume, and yeah, it's now one of my favorite manga of all time, and it also showed me that, hey, sports manga can be pretty cool. And
hell yeah, something to break the genre conventions.
Yeah, for sure.
Excellent. Personally, I hadn't heard of it before until Matt pushed it a lot as an option for Sports Anime Monday at the anime club that we were in college. Unfortunately.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I don't think it ever made it through, so I'm thrilled to finally get a chance to peek at what he lauded so highly. Yeah, Matt, how about you?
So, Eyeshield 21 is much like Colton, actually. I read a lot of manga and wasn't really into sports, but I managed to see Eyeshield 21. I think actually it was a chapter preview in Shonen Jump, seems to be the most likely place. That, or I read it in Barnes and Noble without paying for it because I was a child.
That's what you did.
Weren't we all?
Yeah. At one point, everyone was a child. You're right. And I just love it because it's weird shonen nonsense, but also football. And it just goes insane. And because I liked reading it so much, but manga's very expensive, I found out the anime existed. And back then, you could just watch anime on YouTube in 10-minute chunks and then prayed for there to be a third version of part 3. So I watched a lot of Eyeshield 21 that way.
Part 2 of 4 of episode 3 uploaded on this one channel, and then the rest of it wasn't there, so you had to go find it on a different channel and rewatch the part you already saw, but here's the new content.
Plus, you people with your amazing internet didn't have to just put a video on the furnace to buffer while you went to go, like, make tea or something?
No, I had to do the same thing. Like, I literally, there'd be points where, like, I'd be trying to get through a show, and, like, you know, my internet wasn't great, so I had to let every part buffer. And while part 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever buffered, I would actually just read manga to wait. So I was kind of like doing both at the same time.
That's professional behavior right there.
So I watched a lot of Eyeshield 21 in 8-minute chunks with long breaks in between. So not an ideal environment to watch it, but I had a lot of free time, so it was fun. And then yeah, that just really erupted my love for sports anime, because Eyeshield 21 in particular is the exact genre I like of sports anime, where they take the sport seriously, but then also just shove so many metaphors into there, it becomes nonsense at points, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Just... I love it when people just randomly have superpowers, and then the people on the sidelines are, what a completely normal thing to be happening.
Is anyone going to question why one of the members of the Demon Bats team is, it seems about 8 times the volume of everybody else?
Nah.
Oh, okay.
Sam, we haven't even gotten to the guy who can extend his arms like a chameleon's tongue. We're not even gonna...
And Jay, what is your experience with Eyeshield 21?
So I am the lone wolf here who says absolutely none. I did not read this back in the day. I would not have read this back in the day. I discovered very early on that I, unfortunately, am not a fan of sports manga. Yeah. That's about it. I have to say there have been some sports manga, as those who have followed the podcast, that I have grown attached to, namely Blue Lock.
The other football manga.
Yes, the other football manga, yes. And the only real tie-in there is because I myself used to play soccer and had beautiful men playing soccer. So, yeah.
I mean, that helps.
It really does. But we are unfortunately short a Jacob, so this is our cast for the day. As we dive right in with the introduction of our main character, who immediately demonstrates why he's going to be a great footballer, even if he is not aware of it yet, as hoo boy, the kid runs like Sonic. He is fast as hell.
Very weaselly and slight as well, so, you know. And also what I noticed, the hair. Again, I have not watched the anime, so I was just like, is the hair indicative of something? Because I feel like we're trying to do like tropes here, and I'm like, is he supposed to be like have little hair ears like a cat or a mouse or something? That's what stuck out to me. It was cute. It's adorable.
It is very cute. It could have him be mousy. It could also be demon ears as he joins demon high school.
Actually, the first thing that came to my mind to kind of jump ahead just like a little bit. He does have his little like fantasy where like he's envisioning himself as like the team manager or whatever, and his hair is round and bouncy. Seeing his like idealized version of himself made me think, oh, I wonder if his hair is supposed to be kind of like an Astro Boy thing, maybe, possibly. I don't know. That's just a guess on my part.
I mean, maybe. I couldn't tell if this is supposed to be like a throwback manga or if it's supposed to be, because I had to look at when it came out, obviously, because there were a few things I had questions about, but maybe.
Mm-hmm. It came out over 20 years ago, in case you were wondering.
Yeah, literally at the time we're recording this, the series just celebrated its 21st anniversary, so...
The series can drink, folks. It's official.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The series was already drinking. I'm just going to spoil that for you.
Given some of the characters in this, I'm not surprised. Sena, our speedy main character, dashes his way to school where he meets up with his childhood friend.
/ adopted mother, basically, in this first bit.
Yeah, like I've heard of older sister types, but geez, Lord, she's a helicopter parent who is not biologically related to him.
Yes. I mean, there's no other way to characterize it.
Look, Momori means well, but she is smothering that boy.
She really
is stifling.
Not that he minds, because he's a nerd and he needs to be shook out of that, but that's why you have an origin story.
Yeah. Really highlight just how much of a nervous wreck he is. He is too scared to even look at his grade position in the entrance exam for the high school. And Momori needs to basically drag him back over there to point out, like, no, see, you did it. Good job. But now that he has successfully gotten into high school, it's time for immediate shenanigans as we're introduced to. Okay. This guy, it threw me for a loop because everybody in this manga is drawn very normally.
For now.
Except for these two weirdos.
For now is a really important caveat with Eyeshield 21.
For now. Because we are introduced to Hiruma, who I can only describe as a football vampire.
He is a football vampire leprechaun and later on gun otaku. There is no other way to explain this character.
Every angle on his head is pointed.
I just remember rereading this now so long after I read it the first time and watched the anime. I'm pretty sure the anime makes a better case that he's got airsoft guns, because otherwise they do not.
There are no airsoft in the manga. These are just legit guns.
He is strapped to the teeth, the very, very pointy teeth.
Yes.
Oh boy. I don't know if this counts as a spoiler or not. I'm going to say not because it's a character popularity poll. Would you guys believe me if I said that I think around, the second character popularity poll, he is the #1 favorite character amongst fans for at least two of them? Yes. Like over the main character.
He's my favorite character, hands down.
See, there you go. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's mine too. Like, Hiruma really is amongst a cast of characters as we go on through the series anyway, that just like ever expands, and like the more crazy, wacky characters we meet, he is definitely the one that like stands out the most amongst all of them by a country mile.
Yeah, like just to fully clarify, how he's introduced is Sena is just kind of like, oh man, I just got in. He runs over with a cell phone going like, hey, call your parents. Tell them that you just got in. It's like, oh, cool. Sena puts his number in. Hiruma then steals the phone, runs off, calls a bunch of food delivery places until one of them has the number on file to say what the address is. He then takes that address and then fills it with pamphlets to join the football club because this man hustles.
40 chess. He's just like, I'll do it.
And in the middle of doing all of this, he tells his very large associate to go get the next one. So he is on a mass doxing spree purely to advertise joining the football club.
This man was an A-tier cyberbully before that was even a thing.
A little thing that I really love about this moment, and something that I think this manga does really well in terms of its storytelling, kind of planting seeds ahead of time. I love that, like, but before he doxes Sena, basically, you could see beforehand that like Sena is standing next to a sign that says that club recruitment is prohibited, on the assembly field. So it's like, okay, this is why he has to kind of like this is why he has to go in like a roundabout way of like trying to recruit people instead of just asking him like, hey, join the football club, because obviously it's not that easy. And I enjoy that little detail.
I also like to think that club recruitment is banned on that field because of him.
Yes, just because of him.
Non-zero chance of that. I agree.
He now needs to go for a more cat's paw method instead of just, I don't know, actively kidnapping people and torturing them until they agree.
I'm just saying, I would not be surprised if Hiruma is the reason new laws are written.
Yes, just him.
It doesn't necessarily prove effective against Sena. He's just drowning in various flyers. But as he goes to school the next day for his first day of high school, he meets up with Momori, who continues to baby him, including pointing out the part of why he's so speedy is she tells him he needs to stop hanging around with the bullies that turn him into an errand boy.
Plus, this is also where we get the scene of just how pathetic Sena is, that he's thinking about what club he should join based on what Momori, like Nissan's reaction is going to be. Going like, well, will she be proud of me? Will I get head pats? And I'm like, buddy, stop.
Dude,
this is so weird. Why do you have an Oedipus complex for your childhood friend? Stop.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, see, we were talking about how much we love Hiruma. I have to say, I think Sena's a great protagonist. Like, he, as we'll kind of like see the further we go on, I think he's kind of like, to me, he's like one of the most perfect underdog protagonists you can have. There's a point where you really root for this kid. You want to see him change. But the manga doesn't shy away from like how pathetic he is. I forget where. I know it's mentioned at some point that he's basically been an errand boy since like kindergarten. This kid has had a rough life. He has no confidence, no backbone whatsoever. And I feel sorry for him. I just want him to do good.
We all want to do good.
Somehow the bullies got a hold of Sena's new phone number, so they are harassing him into doing yet more chores for them.
Because this is an old flip phone, so he has not yet been able to block folks. I would just immediately block.
I'm going to be honest, he wouldn't block these people because
he's too scared.
Yeah, like, we find out that he's been going basically his entire life this training from hell, where these, like, delinquents, basically, are threatening to beat him up if he doesn't do their errands quicker and quicker, which has resulted in him gaining super speed. Which is, like, the shonen caveat of the sports manga, is that Sena has been training for so long, he's super good at ducking and weaving through crowds at incredibly fast speeds.
Yeah, what I like about this is that I feel like in most shonen manga, especially for the ones where it seems like at the start, sometimes you think like, oh, the main character's not going to be the chosen one. He's just a regular guy. But then it turns out, oh, he's the chosen one, and he's been good all along. Like, it's kind of believable why Sena would be as fast as he is. Like, I feel like that's not entirely out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, and also he's a very little guy too, is another big thing in his corner.
Yeah.
He's very quick and very tiny.
Oh yeah.
It makes him able to duck and weave,
which in any conventional sense would make you a terrible football player. But
but this is shonen manga. We don't do conventional sense here.
Conventional? What's that?
Don't even know. Unfortunately, they were all sold out of the thing he was sent to fetch, so they decide that they are going to kick the shit out of Sena, and they need a place to do it, so they take him to a old storage room. It's just full of various clutter, including an American football helmet. And Sena, before he can consider that too hard, gets tossed into a corner. The guys look for something to kick his ass with, and then the largest man you've ever seen opens the door.
I mean, not just large. This man is rotund. Honestly, he reminds me of a Snorlax. Which, if you could imagine that just coming up to greet you.
He's so round. He doesn't even have defined facial features. He is two orbs.
Yes.
Body and head.
His head is literally a chest.
I mean, the head kind of reminded me of the teacher from Assassin Classroom. That just gave me those vibes and I got scared.
Yeah.
This man is drawn in an entirely different art style.
And not in the cool way that All Might is extremely excited that all these new people are in the clubhouse. Did you guys come to join the American Football Club? Oh, that's great. We need new recruits. And the bullies are not pleased about this. They try to attack him, and he's like, oh, wow, you're so excited. You're tackling me already. Well, here, you gotta do it like this. And just bodily tosses all of them into a wall.
This is not a man that you try to tackle. He tackles you and destroys you.
These guys are cars that ran into a cement wall.
I just want to add an addendum to earlier. He's not only the largest man, but the largest good boy.
Yes, is a very good boy.
He is so very, very, very excited about football. He wants to help everybody and make people love football as much as he does. Honestly,
what came into my mind is he is so sweet that he would like try to get things for you and then accidentally sit on you inadvertently and then not realize that you were underneath of him dying.
It's probably so sweet because 90% of his diet is cakes.
But can you blame him? Cake is delicious.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah. It's around this point where like he's kind of like sitting with Sena, like thinking he's going to join the football team, and he literally asks him, "So how many dozen sugars do you want in your tea?" And like, if you pay attention,
casually, hello diabetes.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you pay attention, like I love the little details in this manga, and that's one of my favorite things is that you can see him try to stir his tea, but it's literally more sugar than tea.
Yeah, I like when he's offering Sena tea, he's already dumping the bowl of sugar cubes into it. So how many do you want? Say when. Before you started pouring, bud.
Like that can't be good, right?
He's a growing boy. He needs his calories.
Empty calories.
Like even at the ripe old age of 30, I am still a huge sweet tooth, but even I kind of have my limits.
Yeah, I haven't read the one shot yet where they're in college. I hope my boy made it. I hope the diabetes didn't claim him.
I hope he still has both feet, honestly.
Yeah.
No, in Eyeshield 21, he's probably got like robot feet. Those are legal in American football if you ask nicely.
Yeah. If you forge a medical record.
Fully believe though that he would be able to ask nicely enough and be so sweet about it and earnest that they would absolutely give it to him.
Sena is not interested, but decides to stick around for the tea.
Oh yeah.
Then finds out that they are looking for a club manager.
Mm-hmm.
That could be cool.
He'd be fine with that. He gets to participate in the club, make new friends, wear a fancy suit.
He gets to be a nerd character from Captain Tsubasa.
Mm-hmm. He's like, sure, I'll do it. So now he is the happy new manager of the football club. Unfortunately, the bullies are not done with him. They catch him on the way home. Manages to work up a small bit of nerve because his friendliness with Kuruma. I love this because they're going to beat him with a bat, and it's like, should we do that? We'll get in trouble. Not out of any concern for his physical being, but concern of getting in trouble. They'll be like, we'll just say that Fatso did it to him. And he's like, I will not corroborate that story. I will rat you guys out. Screw you. I'm not working with you. All right, we'll still kick the out of you then. Oh, no!
And he makes a break for it. And he runs like he's never run before.
Boy, howdy, does he make a break for it. He bobs and weaves through an entire crowd in a packed market.
We essentially get the opening to any like teenage action movie where the main character is just like skipping school and does like the cool action run.
And watching the entire time is Hiruma, who happens to note that kid that he doxed yesterday, whose identity he stole.
Mm-hmm. As you do.
As you do. And we also get a hint of his power where he stops for a second and analyzes the crowd, seeing the route he has to take, and bolts through it perfectly.
But more importantly, there's one dude who's blocking him from getting to the train station, and he just goes on full on, does a spin move, and Haruma's just going like, oh, he's got jukes.
He's got jukes. He's got the moves. And Haruma's watching the entire action sequence, like narrating it, doing shot for shot calls. And barely with a second to spare, he dives onto the train and touchdown. I love how evil Haruma looks when he says touchdown.
Yeah, because Haruma has found his new player, and we find out at the end of this chapter, horribly doxed those bullies by stripping them naked and posting their pictures all over the side of the city. Like, Haruma does not stop committing crimes.
No, he does quite a lot of them.
Why would he?
I mean,
They work out well for him.
I mean, at the very least, these guys deserved it, so it's fine.
And thusly, he has been forcibly recruited into the football club.
I love how quickly at the end they're just like, oh shit, yeah, we need to make the title relevant. Give him a disguise.
Okay, I'm a little confused. Why does he need a secret identity?
Because it's cool.
It is cool. He wears a helmet with an eye shield and the jersey 21, so he is Eyeshield 21.
And there's the title drop. He does mention that he wants Sena in disguise so that way the other athletic clubs don't try to like recruit him because Hiruma wants his golden legs all to himself.
Ah, right. He's like, if these other assholes see how fast you are, they'll want to steal you for themselves, and I am having no poaching. I'm the only one who poaches around here.
And I mean, the actual reason is because Sena's a whole bunch of like Super Sentai tropes. Like
all of them at once.
Like he becomes Batman at one point in our reading. So it doesn't help that the Devil Bats logo is like just literally the Batman logo.
And the little teeny tiny cartoon bat mascot that they've got.
Look, if Batman can be a baby adopted by the Joker in the Mangaverse, why can't he also sponsor a high school football team?
Oh, I haven't read that yet, but I desperately want to read that.
I so desperately want to do an episode of this podcast.
You guys should. I honestly,
we should.
I would be offended if you didn't, honestly.
All right, it's
going on the list.
Going on the list. But staying in this particular Madcap universe, I love it because Sena's walking to school the next day, and Mamori is like, actually, wait a minute. Why are you here so early? Oh, I joined a club. You joined a club? Yeah.
Without telling me?
Don't you need parents' permission for that? I didn't sign a permission slip.
I'm in the American Football Club. Don't worry, I'm not a player. I'm not going to get like tackled or anything. Oh, okay, good. And if Haruma is ever mean to you, you tell me, okay?
It is one half, like, you know, obviously Mamori is very, very protective, but we also kind of skimmed the point where, like, her and Sena are talking at one point, and at the mention of Hiruma out loud literally causes everybody in the vicinity to have a mental breakdown.
I don't want to die. Just crying and screaming and running.
So to give Mamori a little credit, I understand why she's afraid of him ever running into him.
But we get the first day of football practice with the Devil Bats, where no one learns how to play football, which will be a running theme in our reading.
Mm-hmm. We also get introduced to the various gimmicks of each of our three main players here. As noted, Sena is impossibly fast. And we've got Hiruma with his tactical mind and just generally pretty good physical stats all around beyond that.
Yeah, basically the Devil Bats are Haruma deciding to create a character mode on Madden and just min-maxing all the sliders.
Yeah, that's how you get people like Sena, who is the speedster, and Kurita, who is basically the wall tank, whatever you want to call him.
He is a boulder that can intentionally come after you. He's terrifying. He breaks the tackle practice dummy.
Yeah,
and considering Haruma's reaction, he's done it a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, Haruma's reaction is, we'll just blackmail the principal to giving us more.
What is their discretionary budget? Yes.
Haruma's just gonna keep committing crimes.
I don't want to get too into it because I don't want to spoil anything for later, but the stuff he gets into with the principal in particular is pretty great, and I'm just going to leave it at that.
But anyway, the main gimmick of this entire training chapter is the 40-yard dash, which for this basically entire first chunk of our reading is treated as if it is the gold standard of football. of which 4.2 is a mythical number that only the peak of humanity can beat and no one could ever possibly surpass. And there will never be an arc of Eyeshield 21 where they make a big deal about surpassing that in a way that's totally good and perfectly fine in this modern era. The end of Eyeshield 21 gets a little weird.
Oh, okay.
yeah. The last arc of Eyeshield 21 I heard is very mixed amongst fans. I have to admit I haven't read the series all the way through in a while, so I'm still kind of waiting to see how I feel personally. But I don't know. I remember because I was literally a teenager when I first read this, so I wasn't really thinking about the series very critically. All I knew was, oh my god, I love it. Oh my god, football is actually pretty cool. Oh my god, I love this comic. So at some point, I would love to get to that final arc and see how I feel about it, as an adult. But that's neither here nor there.
I will say it's the same reason I felt one arc in Hajime no Ippo was kind of weird, and then I moved past it. So at some point, you just got to chalk up Japan's weird about a few things.
Yeah, that's fair.
But anyway, they're running and they find out that they're going to mention this guy Shin, who's really cool and definitely not the villain of the series.
He's such a villain.
Is the fastest high schooler with a speed of 4.4 seconds.
He's not only incredibly fast, he's also really strong, making him the ultimate min-maxed linebacker.
Yeah, we'll get to it eventually, but while I was reading this, I came to the conclusion that Shin is kind of like if Zoro from One Piece were a football player. Because he kind of has the same training regimen almost.
Yeah, you are right. He's got a lot of that Zoro energy. Right down to his personality.
He's lifting impossible weights, literally doing thumb stands. I would not blame readers for not believing that he's a high schooler, honestly.
He is built like Jotaro Kujo.
Shin, I think, could somehow beat Jotaro. I don't know how, but I think he could.
Look, I love Murata, and everything he does is amazing, and he's never faulted once. But man, does every football team that isn't the Devil Bats not look like high schoolers in this? They only play against full-grown adults.
Yeah, I mean, might as well.
It's fine.
But yeah, so while they're doing their little 40-yard dash, proving that Hiruma never does anything half-cocked, his starting gun for the race is a bazooka. That is a real bazooka because it just shakes the entire school.
He is full cocked at all times.
You see shots of people in the classroom, and I imagine being in there, being able to hear the window shake. Powerful. I don't know I don't remember if they ever explained where he gets his artillery, but especially in Japan too. So I don't know how he got around that, but it's fine.
He probably blackmailed somebody.
Nah, I'm calling it right now. His dad's a military contractor.
You know what? I buy that. But it's an effective starting gun, and it sets Kurita on the run. He is incredibly slow, only getting 6.5 seconds, which honestly isn't actually too bad, but Hiruma considers it to be complete trash.
I mean, look, he's a big guy. He can only run so fast.
Hiruma gets a very respectable 5.1 seconds. And now it's time for Mr. Speed himself. Also, I like how the bazookas get steadily bigger and bigger with each time.
Because he doesn't reload. He just throws. He full on Call of Duty's this. He just throws away the empty bazooka and grabs a new one.
I can't even.
Clearly, you've never been to an American high school, Jay.
I guess I haven't.
It's nothing but guns.
Okay.
But Sena, he sprints off and he beats Hiruma with a flat 5 seconds. That's really freaking good.
Oh.
And everyone is duly shocked and surprised and amazed. However, Hiruma, he knows that Sena can do better. How is he going to make Sena do better, you ask? Well, the only way he knows how, by pulling out a dog treat, sticking it down his shirt, and calling for his dog.
Who is?
Kerberos. As if this guy wasn't Satan enough.
Did nothing wrong.
I like guys with dogs. I'm just saying.
Hey, there you go.
He sicks his dog on Sena. And Sena just books it, managing to hit the mythical 4.2 when motivated by the threat
motivated death.
Motivated by the threat of doggo.
Well, because as we establish, Sena very afraid of being beaten up.
Mm-hmm.
Who knew? Fear of imminent death is a very, very strong motivator.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, is there any better motivator? Let's be honest.
No.
No, that's it.
No, at this point for Sena, there isn't. He gets another one later on. It's like, all right, cool. Everybody has established their baseline. We can start training up, and we can even probably recruit more people before the tournament. Hey, by the way, when's the tournament start? Hiruma packing up his bazookas. Tomorrow. What?
Did you tell me this? It was on purpose.
Look, we got everyone to run their laps, and that's it.
I'm just saying. Most of his motivations have been predicated on instilling fear on individuals. If I gave you plenty of runway, you probably would not perform as well.
Yeah, so their first task as a football team is to kidnap 3 people apiece.
Yeah.
Because the first rule they learn about American football, with nothing else taught to them, is that you need 11 players.
Matt, I think you misspoke there. You meant recruit 3 people apiece, right?
No kidnap.
Nope, kidnap.
That's not what I said.
Their consent is not needed.
If they get 3 people apiece, then they will have... Well, actually, at that point, they'll have 12. So Sena can totally sit out, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It'll be fine. We won't need him at all.
No.
I love the entire time that Sena is loudly protesting needing to increase the amount of recruited players so he doesn't have to play. Hiruma just has this smirk on his face like, I'll make you play. Keep your whining up, kid. It's not going to matter in the end.
We then find out that Sena thinks he'd be very good at being like a club manager / like scout is essentially what he actually wants to do. Like go around and figure out plays and get people to join that he thinks have good talent, as he's got like this entire vision of kicking down the basketball club doors like, hey, who wants to play American football? Only the manliest sport possible. In an actuality, he kind of just wusses out and goes like, hey, do you guys want to maybe play American football?
Yeah, I mean, if you want, I mean, that'd be cool, You
don't have to.
It'd be really helpful out for what we're doing, and maybe just need some people for a game coming up. And nah, okay, bye. Sorry to bother you.
Poor kid is so pathetic.
Even more pathetic is that Kurita comes in immediately after him because they did not plan out this route at all.
Want to participate in the American football game? No. Aw. And then Hiruma, now that they've been thoroughly worn down, kicks in the door, says, hey, you're going to play American football. We told your other 2 buddies no. Oh, yeah. Did you now? As he gets out his burn book. His little bat-branded death note of blackmail.
And turns out he just has written down every crime and weird thing everyone has ever done to use against them one day.
Oh, yeah, you there, long hair. You stole the underwear from the girls' swim team, and you there with the blonde locks. And I don't know how Hiruma found this out. You have a poster of a rather young pop star in your room that you kiss every night.
Yeah, Kago is she was a member of Morning Musume, which was appropriate during the age, and I like immediately fangirled because I was a huge like Morning Musume fan. So I knew exactly who this was, and I'm like, oh.
So Hiruma would have blackmailed you as well.
Yes.
Oh.
Perfect.
I feel sorry for him in particular because it's like, okay, he just really likes an idol, maybe a little too much.
Yeah.
Whereas the other guy, I think, actually did just commit a crime.
And in any other situation, I'd be like, man, that guy really sucks. But Haruma's the person who's doing it, and he just literally in one panel.
He runs away cackling like a little goblin.
with the megaphone and everything, just so ready to dish out these guys' dirty laundry. I love it.
But we find out that Sena has some luck as he manages to find some dude on the track team who's all ready to play American football, mostly so he can just recruit some of the people who play American football to join the track team. But, as you do. He just has a problem where if the tournament is tomorrow, he needs to deliver a whole bunch of magazines before then.
Consider it done.
Sorry, kid, I can't really do that. Wait, what if I helped you with it? Oh, I don't know how it would really assist that much. I mean, I've got a bike, you don't, but oh well, here's half the map. Sena looks at the map, analyzes, looks up.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is the most anime power scaling nonsense, and I love it. Like, I'm a track star on a bike, but I guess I could give you half the work to do in, I guess, an equal amount of time.
A track star on a bike who has presumably done this route before. Sena has never seen this before in his life. He just analyzed a map and went sicko mode on it.
Also, based on how the time of day changes, Sena's been running across town nonstop for like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
He is somehow both an incredibly fast sprinter and an amazing distance runner. As somebody who also did track and field, that's freaking amazing.
He has great endurance.
And it's not unheard of either. Like, that's what top athletes do.
Yeah.
More importantly, insane workout to do the day before a game, though.
Uh-huh.
He's going to sleep very well, hopefully.
And he's also completely fine by the end of it. Because, well, I guess when you run marathons every day, being a errand boy,
Yeah.
you get a lot of stamina.
I mean, for any other day, people were very, very impressed. But today, for me, this was just Tuesday. Yeah.
And so Sena has precisely one new recruit. And thankfully, Hiruma has like 10.
Yeah, I was about to say, they set it up so that it's just like, oh no, we just barely make it. I guess I could participate so that we'll have 11. But Hiruma kicks open the door and goes like, oh man, I forgot to put these up. And then slaps down double the number of pins because he actually recruited like 17 people.
Recruited, used very loosely.
It means the same thing to him.
He press ganged them. Now that we have our team established, it's time for the first football game of Eyeshield 21.
Oh, yeah.
Who's ready for some football?
I could be convinced.
Excellent.
But yeah, on the train ride to the stadium is when they find out that they are playing the Cupids.
I love these guys. This is the most like babies for like you're playing Madden and you need to go up against the shit team in order to get introduced to the mechanics.
Oh, but you don't understand, Sam. This team has something you'll never have. All of them have incredibly hot girlfriends. The way I phrased that was much meaner than I intended.
No, this is the core of Matt. Constantly. Unprompted.
Rude.
This is basically the equivalent of Little Mac going up against Glass Joe.
It is. Yeah.
Man, if they just let Glass Joe have an incredibly hot girlfriend at the side of them.
Wouldn't that just be a power move, though?
She would be French, so.
Mm-hmm.
Sacre bleu.
Sacre bleu. What a powerful punch.
I must go back to my lover.
But the sight of all these girlfriends is enough to rouse the fury of the demon bats. It's they're like, those bastards, how dare they bring all these cute chicks? Ah! Wait a minute, Hiruma, didn't you say that you would have cute chicks as our cheerleaders? Oh, yeah, don't worry, I'm on it. He goes over to all the girlfriends. Hey, I've got pictures of this incredibly cute and popular high school football player. You want him?
Oh, Sakuraba is not only a high school football player, much more importantly,
he is Bishi.
He is a celebrity.
He knows what the ladies want. Another
and
one.
They want him.
Yeah.
To an insane degree.
I can't blame him. Hiruma knows what everyone wants.
All I can say is Hiruma made good on his promise to get hot cheerleaders, and I did not expect that from him.
Yep. His tactics, underhanded, but his promises, capped. Also,
well, I mean, not to them.
Yeah. Also, I do love... I was like, so how did you get the picture of that famous celebrity anyway? Oh, it was simple. After the practice game against his team last year, I just held a gun on him and made him smile for the camera.
How are you not in jail?
you just the cutaway panel of that moment is just him, gun and Sakuraba's back.
You held him at gunpoint. and then made evidence that you did that.
But yeah, it's time for the game. As we get into the Demon Bats versus the Cupids, Hiruma has a very simple strategy, a very basic war cry. Get in there and kick their asses!
Wait, how does football work? We'll figure it out on the game.
We'll figure it out on the field.
I'll tell you some rules now, and then we'll wait until match 2 to explain the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
See, you know, I know we're kind of having a lot of fun here, but genuinely, I do actually really appreciate how this series doesn't like front load you with all the rules and everything you need to know about the sport, like you know, at the very beginning, because I genuinely think that's something that that I feel like some modern sports series, at least the ones I've read, I feel like do a terrible job at. I don't want to get into a whole thing, but there's a new Jump series out right now called Ch.1-20, and it's about figure skating in particular. And it was one that at first I thought, oh, this might be kind of interesting. I'll check it out. I think I got like 14 chapters in. It literally just started up like a couple months ago. There's not a whole lot of it out. At the point I got to, like, there was just a point where like my eyes were kind of glazing over, you know, not just because like the art, while it's very pretty, is very, very visually dense and like kind of makes it hard to read, but also the series really kind of goes out of its way to like throw out a bunch of jargon and rules at you about like how figure skating works, and it's not done in a way where like I can kind of keep up with all the info, and like not in a way where I want to learn about the sport. Eyeshield 21 was so important to me because, you know, I really did not give a shit about football. And I mean, you know, I'm not like a fan now, but, you know, back then, you know, someone who really didn't care about sports, like this was genuinely a really great way for me, you know, personally to kind of learn about the sport of football kind of at the same pace as the main character does. So I think that's one of the big reasons why the story is so engaging, is that, you know, again, you're not being front loaded all at once. You're learning as you go, and I think that's really important for getting like, you know, the people who don't know how to play the sport into the series.
Yeah, like as a piece of fiction, this is exactly what you should do. You should jump straight into action and then explain things piecemeal once you've gotten people hooked on the like general premise. Because this entire bit we read is essentially just an introduction to the series. They're just setting things up, and like Colton, what you were saying earlier about like something getting just lost in the weeds. We as a podcast love this manga, so I feel bad talking about it this way. But Chihaya Furu,
that was what immediately sprung to mind,
goes so deep into explaining Karuta, and no one on this podcast gives a shit about that game. The manga is just amazing in spite of it.
Yeah, that's entirely fair. Yeah, and I've read a lot of Chihaya Furu, and I agree that manga is great. Even if I don't like fully understand the rules of Karuta, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to read it again. But I do kind of feel like, you know, that series. I think Karuta is also an entirely different thing because I feel like it's such a, I don't know how else to put it. It's such a Japanese game that kind of requires you to like, you know, be able to like memorize different like haikus and poems and stuff. It's sort of like a memory game. And I do feel like the language barrier does kind of interfere with that if you don't know the language. So maybe that's a specific case. But I do agree that, like, you know, even with that language barrier, Chihaya Furu manages to be genuinely one of the most compelling sports manga I've ever read. Because there were times, and I'm sure you guys have talked about it, but there were games I read where like, even if I kind of like vaguely understood what's going on, I was still into it. Like, oh, is she gonna get that card? Oh, she got that card. Oh my god. Oh, that's the best.
Exactly.
It was bizarre, but yes, it was captivating.
Yeah, exactly.
Eyeshield 21 has Murata drawing it, so the football games are literally just gorgeous 2-page spreads constantly.
Yep.
And I'm like, yes, keep doing it. Just like generally too, they will have scenes where action will be completely nonsensical, but like it looks really good because Hiruma will throw things down on tables and you'll get like speed action lines where like another series he'd just come in and like toss things on the table.
Yeah.
Well, that's not how Eyeshield 21 plays. Everything is over the top action.
Everything is as dynamic as it can possibly be.
Yeah. Like everything about Eyeshield 21 is like cranked up to 11.
Including the introduction of two of our antagonistic characters, as we have two mysterious figures coming to watch the game to scout out the competition. And one of the cheerleader girls falls somehow off of some stairs and is going to plummet to a pretty serious injury until one of them dashes forward and captures her, saving her from a treacherous fall. And this is how we meet Sakuraba and Sheen of the Ocho White Knights. What a team name.
I love the White Knights so much. Even just the little we see of them, they are insane.
They're great. I love them too.
I mean, initially I was like, okay, we're pulling in another trope, the illustrious white knighting. These are the opposite of white knights. Actually, I would actually argue that the devil bats would probably be white knights except for Haruma. So
I mean, their school is a freaking cathedral. Like, what the hell?
Their gym switches from being a warehouse to a cathedral depending what angle the scene's coming from.
yes, so essentially they took it literally, which I appreciate.
Oh God,
aesthetically.
Not to jump ahead too far, but like that later like establishing shot that we get at their school where it's like the clouds part and the light shines down upon it. It's like that establishing shot in particular is amazing.
I want my manga introduction to be that.
Like I imagine like a choir singing in the background every time we get a shot at the school.
Of course.
I just like the budget this school must have that American football receives so much.
I'm just saying they don't know the term budget. What is that? Is that what poor people speak of?
You're right.
That sounds like a poor problem.
Oh, but anyway, the game between the Devil Bats and the Cupids kicks off, and just amazing panels of football action. Like,
I'm here for the action. That's also why I kept up with Blue Lock. I love action scenes. They're easy to digest. It shows movement eloquently. It tells the story.
And basically they get through the entire game 0-0. And in the final moments, they do a field goal kick, get 3 points. And unfortunately, that was the case for Sena being forced to play, was if they needed him to win. Mm-hmm. Also, Sena got one of the players the wrong cleats, and he's horribly injured because of him. So,
yep, I believe it's even track and field guy. He was running, he didn't have the right cleats, he slid and mucked up his ankle.
Ugh.
Really bad.
Really?
For someone doing you a favor, he really messed with him too.
Yeah.
God, and I think Sena even thinks back because there's a bit where Sena and Ishimaru are talking about whatever, and you could see on the box that it says specifically hey, these are for artificial turf only use it on real grass or whatever. It's labeled as such, but obviously Sena's not paying attention, and that's how we kind of mess things up.
Yeah, and complete freak of nature that the grass happened to be wet. Definitely wasn't someone messing around with the sprinklers that caused this accident.
You know what? You know what? That's actually kind of true. I didn't even think about that.
It is partially Haruma's fault, but he's never going to take responsibility for that.
No.
He hacked the sprinkler system, according to the refs, because the refs are complaining about why is it so dusty. The field should be wetted down a bit to prevent this. Well, somebody hacked the sprinkler system, and then little Haruma in a corner going, yeah, on a computer.
Anything else? If anything goes wrong, Haruma's behind it. End of story.
But anyway, because Sena caused that problem, Haruma takes him out behind the shed and kills him, and we never see him again. So,
fortunately, this Eyeshield 21 guy shows up. Same stature.
Conveniently, this guy the same height as Sena, and also the same weight, and also looks like Sena in football pads.
but you don't understand. He looks so cool in his football gear. It's like they say, it's the clothes that make the man.
Oh, I love how the eye shield is on, and immediately the ref goes, hey, you're definitely not allowed to have that.
Yeah, well, I definitely have a doctor's note. That's real.
100%.
Absolutely not at all forged.
So it's probably worth mentioning as well that, Hiruma also is kind of like, he's kind of hesitant to bring out Sena because, like, obviously Sakuraba and Shin are watching, trying to, like, scout the team out, see what they're up to, and try to, strategize around their play. So Hiruma has to, like, basically be like, hey, is that Sakuraba? Sakuraba where? And, like, his fangirls start chasing him. He gives Shin the camera so we can like videotape it. It takes Shin like 3 panels in order to just like completely destroy this camera. He's like, wait, Sakuraba, can you fix this for me? Like, and that's how he basically gets rid of him. It's great. That's kind of Shin's running thing, if I remember correctly, all throughout the series, is that if you give him any kind of technology, he will immediately destroy it.
Look, he's just too yoked.
Basically.
He'll try to like push a button and punch his whole fist through it.
It's probably why he shouldn't be doing all those thumb workouts. He's done too many.
Yeah.
God, could you imagine getting into a thumb war with Shin? Your thumbs would be broken, irreparable.
Just completely popped out of the joint.
Like,
look, you haven't. Shin's a monster on the football field, but when he's on the paper football field, that's really where he comes to shine.
he just shoots the paper football like out of the stratosphere.
Like you're with a volleyball.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. That's a pairing.
God.
Okay.
You're and Shin? I don't agree.
Just on raw physical power. Even that yours a gag manga character, she'd win.
Yeah.
Sena's on the field for the first time and basically set hut, and then he activates. The ball is caught, is passed to him, and his eyes just go white as he dashes off in the wrong direction. So he now has to turn completely around.
Yeah. Wrong way, idiot!
And get to the end zone in half the time he had.
That's such a great reveal, because like, honestly, I could see readers like reading this for the first time, and because obviously everybody like this is genuinely a really great page turn, because you get like reaction shots of everybody like being really like shocked and surprised, and like you could kind of think like, oh, Sena's finally showing his stuff, but then like we get a whole 2-page spread of Sena going the wrong way, and like honestly, I think that's a great comedic reveal.
And then after that, we get that brilliant Murata page of him charging through the dust cloud we had mentioned earlier and just running in for a touchdown. Like,
it's
beautiful.
So good.
It's great. I love it.
It's such a beautiful panel.
It's such a great moment, and like I love the way that like this feels like the end of a soccer game almost. You expect everyone to be like, goal, as like Hiruma sets off like a million different like fireworks off. Like, where did he get those? It doesn't matter. We're celebrating our first game.
The fireworks are really the least of my concerns here. And then we also get, because this entire time, Mamoru basically had a psychic inference while she was at lunch with her friends, going like, Sena's probably in trouble. I should go watch that game. Proceeded to make it just as the game ended, only to think, man, that Eyeshield guy's really cool. I hope Sena's okay.
What an absolute hero he is.
What an Adonis of a man.
Now, if only I could find Sena.
If Sena could get me his number.
Yes.
God, just the panel later where there's an even more explicit. She has even fewer excuses to not recognize him, and yet still fails. Just even Haruma's like, oh man, poor guy. The idea of jock hero football player does not gel with small Sena.
Does not compute.
No.
Look, I've never seen a hug more platonic than when she finds Sena beaten up behind the field and just like, oh, poor baby. Like,
this is my baby.
Like literally, poor baby.
This is my child. Yeah, like Mamoru goes full mama bear to go confront Hiruma.
Oh yeah. What I love about this in particular is that we're basically at like the end of volume 1, and I feel like this is a pretty good like complete story on its own. Like we've kind of made our way up to our first game, and we won the first game, and you're kind of already like you're kind of riding the high of that, and you're kind of like, oh, that was a great first volume, and like the stuff with Mamori finding Sena quote unquote beaten up and him her possibly having to like, you know, throw hands with Hiruma is like a great cliffhanger that makes you kind of want to read the next volume.
Oh, it's even better when we get into that next chapter, going into the next volume. She's confronting Hiruma, who stoically withstands her mama bear behavior. She's like, no, I don't care whatever it is. You need to stop picking on Sena. In fact, you know what? Come on, we're going home. And she takes Sena's hand and starts walking away. And he has this series of flashbacks of every time she's done this in the past, taking his hand, pulling him away from a situation that he's uncomfortable in. And he has this vision across 3 panels, his hand in hers. She fades away. The football. and that is when he lets go. And I'm like, let's go! My boy's growing up!
It is super sports manga because it's him deciding he wants something.
Mm-hmm.
He's tired of letting other people lead his life for him. Like, this is what sports manga is made of.
No, yeah.
So beautiful.
It's great. It's genuinely his first moment of growth. I really want to highlight the moment in the flashback where Mamori, as a kid, saves Sena from a bunch of bullies, like presumably like always. And she's trying to like cheer him up by being like, oh, it's okay, Sena. You have tons of things that make you special. Like, and then she pauses for like 10 minutes trying to come up with something. and she can't think of anything. It's so harsh, but it's genuinely a great comedic beat.
Yeah, and that's great because it really shows what's wrong with the relationship the two of them have. Is like, she's not really seeing him as a person so much as a thing she can take care of.
Like a puppy or a cat.
She doesn't have any like malice behind it. She just wants to be a good childhood friend, but she doesn't realize how overbearing she can. I also really want to highlight the moment between her and Hiruma where like Hiruma's getting ready to like blackmail her, get him in trouble, and you know, have him not being able to like participate in football activities. This is a moment where you can kind of tell like, oh, these two might have like a history. Like they clearly already have like some kind of relationship. Like they're both kind of in the know of like what's going on, even though like the audience isn't, you know?
I also really like this because you see, there's 2 kinds of sports manga. There is character always wanted to be in sport and never had the opportunity. And now opportunity, look at him prove himself. Whoa. And then there's the second, which is what this one is, which is average man has never heard of this sport in his entire life and would never think about it. But it turns out he's a savant at it, and now he loves it.
Yeah, basically.
And this is and now he loves it.
Yep.
Especially because he's never learned about it before. You get they get to teach the audience through him learning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Since he stands up on his own and decides to join the football club. Still lying that he's the scout. Memory's basically just like, okay, well, I guess I'll just be the manager then, and it'll make your job easier. And everyone's like, cool. And Haruma's just like, yes, be the manager, because if there is a hot girl as our manager, we will get so many new recruits, which works.
Everybody wins.
And that would be just what you would think would be an amazing chapter. Except the second half of this chapter is nothing but Shin training in a cathedral.
Yeah, because we cut to Ojo High School, the frickin' cathedral, where the football coach is screaming at the team, particularly at Shin and Sakuraba, for failing to videotape the game-winning play. Like, what the hell, guys? That was your one job.
Yeah.
Pull it together.
And like, this moment is one of my favorite in all of Eyeshield because it's the coach of the White Knights basically going like, football is a game of defense. It doesn't matter. As long as you stop your opponent from scoring at all, you can win with just a single point. The name of the game is defense. And like, that is being hammered down. And then this chapter ends with the Devil Bats going home on the thing. And it's Haruma going like, nah, you don't understand. It doesn't matter if the opponent scores 99 points. You just got to score 100. Offense is what American football is all about.
Look, I know writers who use subtlety and they're all cowards. This manga will never, ever hesitate to juxtapose 2 characters who are foils to each other.
Oh, no.
Oh, God. I mean, I know some people out there have problem with stories that aren't very subtle, but the thing is, like, when the storytelling works, it works.
Also, Shin's got to be careful with that training regimen because he is probably going to lose all of his hair by the time he's 21. Since this is an audio medium, the joke is he kind of looks like Saitama.
Yeah, he does. He looks a lot like Saitama.
Oh, now that you say that, I'm literally looking at my book right now. Yeah, I can kind of see it, actually. You might be onto something.
Especially the close-ups of his face. Like that's just Saitama before he lost the hair.
Well, hold on, guys. I think the artist of this and the artist of One Punch Man might be related.
Whoa, you don't say.
Never would have thought about it. The other thing that I want to highlight from that chapter is it's we had a brief mention of it in the last one, but this is really where we see that Sakuraba, despite how much spotlight he gets, is really kind of pathetic.
Yeah.
Like, he's hyped up as this big star. He's a celebrity. He's the ace of the team. Shin does everything. He can't stand up for himself when people scream at him. He just listens to whatever the last authority figure in his face said. He's like Sena.
Yeah. And as we'll see throughout, like, the next volume and a half, like, their arcs are definitely, like, parallel to each other.
But anyway, what's a Super Bowl special without a commercial break? So Sam, we will get sued by the NFL.
Okay, I'll stop. Jeez, Lord. Go get your commercially non-specific favorite chips and soft drink, and we'll be right back after this. And welcome back to the game, folks, where last we left off. Actually, the game had finished. Right, the Demon Devil Bats had won their first game of the tournament. Eyeshield 21, the mysterious hero who's definitely not Sena, had joined the field and scored the winning touchdown. And now they are preparing for their next game against the guys who trounced them, I'm not exaggerating, 99-0 last year. The Ojo White Knights.
The other amazing part about that game is they scored 99 points before the game ended early because 2 of their players received broken arms.
God.
It could have kept going.
We also find out that the amount you can bench press is essentially the power level from the scouter, which I think is how actual football works. I'm pretty sure.
Yep, and it's further hyping up how powerful Shin is because it's showing that not only is he incredibly fast, he's also super duper strong.
Well, even before all that, like we get a bunch of shenanigans with Mamori cleaning up their storage cabin or whatever where they hold their club. Kurita brings in way too many cakes. And they kind of have like a little snack break. Hiruma kind of like comes in, kicks all the cakes off the table, which I don't know about you guys. I think is the single worst thing he's ever done. That's just my opinion.
That's pretty diabolical.
Like that's a waste of good cake. I could have had some of that, I'm just saying. There's this great bit where he had the school's like model club scale a bunch of little tiny models of all of them and their teammates on the team to basically go over plays. And you'd think like they're going to have like a really productive little meeting where it's like, okay, we're going to go over a bunch of plays, really discuss how we're going to, possibly beat the White Knights. And then it basically amounts to, oh, Eyeshield 21's going to do all the work. That's it. And it's like, like that joke is great, but like Hiruma mentions like, oh yeah, the Bottle Club was so nice enough to make these overnight. And I don't know. I just think that makes the punchline to that especially cruel, but even more hilarious.
I also like how he holds Sena at gunpoint, going like, "Don't tell her your secret identity."
And it's only after she praises how cool Eyeshield 21 was.
She's also learned the rules of football, making her one of 2 people in this room that know how to play football.
Yeah, and then Hiruma's like, "Oh yeah, name 3.
Name 3 rules."
He really said, if you're a real fan. Oh, you're wearing a Metallica shirt? What, name 3 albums.
You're into anime? Name 3, but not the big 3. That doesn't count.
Look, I'm just tired of these fake gamer girls coming in thinking they know anything about football.
These fake sports ball girls. And the weightlifting is also another chance to crap on Sena a little bit because he can only lift the 10-kilo bar. Even Mamori easily outplays him.
Mamori doubles his weight.
Yeah.
God, I really feel like Inagaki and Murata are kind of the masters of like the rules of 3, because like we kind of gotten like a lot of these jokes so far. I'm not going to say this is like my favorite one, but I feel like that's like a type of comedic beat they've really dabbled in very early on in the series, at least at this point.
We also get introduced to my man Otawara. I like him a lot.
The cube. This man.
This man is a gorilla.
If Coretta is all curves, this guy is all right angles.
That's a statement indeed.
And because this is a sports manga, we have to have Shin go on a long, soul-searching kind of monologue to himself about how there must be a person who exists that can match my strength. Such an untouchable person where even strength could not meet them.
If he is faster than me, then not even power will be enough.
But thankfully that doesn't exist and never will.
Definitely not our plucky protagonist practicing catching with his high-speed maneuverability. I say practicing because he is too timid to even catch a ball falling towards him that he threw himself.
Mm-hmm. Hey, scary out there. Be careful.
Yeah, man, that like that ball can hit you in the face. You know how much that hurt?
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
He doesn't have his eye shield to protect his eyes.
Exactly.
But yeah, we jumped straight into the White Knights versus the Devil Bats.
Indeed, it's time. And again, more great contrasts between how prepared and how freaking wealthy the White Knights are, because they arrive like on a team of buses, some buses dedicated entirely to their equipment. There's the screaming fangirls and the paparazzi for Sakuraba. And then the way that the Devil Bats arrive is
I mean, this chapter is basically just a tale of two cities. Like,
yeah.
It was the best of buses. It was the worst of hand carts.
I just call it the danger cart, like on Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
It is the danger cart. Immediately, like, my heart left because I'm just like, oh my god. Those ragtag accumulation of just things and people.
God.
They arrive in a very slapdash manner with their equipment and are setting up for the big game. And the stands are full of screaming girls because Sakuraba is here. In fact, he's the only one the media cares about, too.
We also get the fact that the White Knights have their diets planned out for like all their macronutrients. And they're eating snacks before the game. And then Shin's just like, no, my diet's even more closely monitored, where each of my meals is as efficient as it needs to be. I'm like, Shin, shut up. Like,
dude, what the hell is wrong with you?
I look, it's clearly worked for him so far.
Meanwhile, all the Devil Bats have is a very large bento made by Mamori.
I like that one of them is just shaped like Kurita.
Yes, it's his head. It is the biggest of all the onigiri.
We also get Sakuraba has to wear a, like, American burger restaurant branding.
Yeah, he's got to wear that product placement.
His agent, Miracle Ito.
I love
it's the laziest looking man I've ever seen in my life.
I love the fact that this low-ranking high school football game is televised.
Yeah. Apparently that's just how much of a big star Sakuraba is.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone else think that Miracle Ito should be voiced by Tom Kenny? Because weirdly, I heard his voice all throughout reading this.
Tracks
See it.
is getting his interview while wearing his branded merch. Some more scouts show up. And the Devil Bats have their team meeting, which is just, we're letting Eyeshield 21 do everything. You're entirely built to defend him. Make sure that Shin doesn't tackle him.
Because if Shin tackles him, he will die.
Yeah, he will be crunched into powder.
At the very least, he'll be sent to the hospital.
Yeah. So, because Sena's been so well responding to pressure. He immediately just bolts, texts memory that he's going to go buy a videotape or something, which is when we find out that Hamura has DNA of all of the people on the team.
Gross.
So that...
How'd you obtain this DNA? Do I want to know?
He's got his ways.
So that Cerberus can sniff it, get the scent, and chase them down.
We should say specifically it's all just hair. That from what we could tell, it's not like anything else like bodily fluids or anything. So it's like it makes a little more sense. Like, oh, if it's all just strands of hair, like that's a little more obtainable. I'm glad they don't go much further than that.
Look, I'm just saying he's got a lot of blackmail.
Yeah. Let's putting it mildly, honestly.
But yeah, turns out Sena was not running away. He was changing into his superhero costume behind a wall and gets dragged like literally 20 feet by the dog. Dog? Quotation marks?
I don't know what he's feeding that dog.
It is a beast of hell. That's all I know.
I'm convinced that Hiruma actually took a trip to hell and bought Cerberus at like a hell pet shop.
At a discounted price, yeah.
And you would have stopped him.
That's my head.
I buy it. I'll accept that uncritically.
But yeah, with that, they line up and get the game started of the White Knights versus the Devil Bats, where they're still learning the rules of football. Just someone should have taught Sena.
No, he doesn't need to.
He needs to know how to run.
Yep.
That poor field. There is no way Sena's tearing up this field. It's a high school field. They're not repairing it.
Not at all.
The way he runs, he is leaving divots with every stride. But it's opening up pretty well. The strategy is working insofar as they just need to get the ball to Eyeshield 21 so that he can bolt through the enemy lines. Unfortunately, Sena is too scared to keep a hold of the ball. He's also holding the ball wrong. He's holding it like an ice cream cone.
Yeah. And like he drops it, it gets fumbled. And basically it's a weird play. And that causes the White Knights on the sidelines and Shin to basically go, yeah, he's just someone who plays football for fun. He doesn't live it as a lifestyle like us.
He probably learned how to do this in touch football like a loser.
They let girls play that sport. We don't let fuckers. I don't know why my Shin's just so sexist, but...
Oh, that is a thing that is said.
Oh, you're right.
I mean,
Well, it's not said by Shin. It's said by the analyst on the White Knights. Apparently, even Sakuraba doesn't know what touch football is. He's just
when I think sexist, I immediately think of Agon from the Shinryuji Nagas, who they're another like big football team, high school football team that's also there to kind of like, you know, check out the game and scout it. And Agon is the guy with the dreads and the sunglasses, basically the guy with the energy. Literally, one of his teammates is like, "So hey, what do you think?" or whatever, and like he's basically checking out Mamori and the other girls, and it's like, oh, that's kind of weird and gross.
Especially because he starts off going off for like nice legs in a way that you could conceivably be talking about a football player, but then it quickly becomes apparent he's not.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of just made me very uncomfortable for like previous statements that have been made about the same character, and I'm just like, give me the ick.
Yeah, Agon is not. I would say he's not a good person, and not in the fun way like Hiruma is. He can be kind of gross. Agon is also an interesting character. I'm not going to get too into stuff that happens later, but knowing how the series goes later, like it's so weird to see like Agon's like earlier appearances, because like right now he just kind of looks like a regular boy. Later he will be like one of the most intimidating characters in the entire series. Like he looks tame in comparison right now, which is kind of weird looking back.
Well, he is hiding out in the back of the bleachers,
so he doesn't want to give off his killing intent right yet. They've taught Sena how to actually hold the ball.
And like, this is where Eyeshield 21 does the thing I love this series for, where Sena has the ball and like formed up his form. So it's now like he's got a suit of armor on his arm and leg as he's protecting the ball. And everyone around him turns into shields because he's on an acid trip. And that's how he will play this game going forward.
Genuinely, so something I also really love about this series are its visual metaphors and just how kind of insane they could be, but they do make the games that much more fun.
Yeah, because his entire team is shields as he is just running past and like just makes a beautiful touchdown with none of the knights able to even keep up with him.
And apparently this visual metaphor was all he needed to help get rid of that fear. He needed to trust that his teammates would be the protection that he needed, and it worked.
This is really putting the friendship in friendship after victory.
So he gets through, he bolts down the way, and Shin's like, oh, that's speed. How powerful. I must defeat him myself. I also love how Sakuraba isn't even on the field and all the girls are still squealing.
They're waiting for him to get a chance to play.
Yeah. But it's like every time the White Knights do something cool, they shout his name. It's like, he's not out there, right?
No, but they know he's somewhere.
But yeah, then when they can smell him.
Ugh.
But yeah, this is where we get the scene where where Eyeshield 21, the hero of the game, realizes he needs to talk to his team, and he's just like, well, I should have a hero voice, and then proceeds to just become Dark Knight Batman.
Yep.
What an amazing game we did.
His voice is so scary. Oh, wait. Oh, that was too much. Yeah, that was a really great play, guys. Good job. Oh, wow. He sounds so cool.
Man, this guy who is the same height and weight as Sena and clearly putting on a fake voice is really cool.
Obviously, this is what they mean with constructive thinkers here. These are not it.
The rest of the team has no excuse. Memory is literally buying this delusion because of pity, which is just sad.
Pityception. Yeah. She's literally tricked herself to not be able to see what's right in front of her.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Lois Lane effect.
Well, I was gonna say, like, the first thing that kind of came to mind, and Matt will appreciate this because he's been on One Podcast Prevails, our Detective Conan podcast a few times, but this is a very much like a Detective Conan thing where it's like like a big thing with that series is obviously, you know, you have the main character who's shrunk down from being a 17-year-old to a 7-year-old, and like he has to live with his childhood friend. And like the more the series goes on, because they also kind of play with the whole thing of like, oh, you know, for some reason my childhood friend doesn't recognize me even though they're my childhood friend, and at first like that you can kind of buy that, but like, you know, once Detective Conan passes 1,000 chapters, you're kind of like, okay, she really has no excuse. What's going on here? But you kind of have to buy into it. I feel like that's kind of the same thing going on here.
God, Detective Conan's great because it has that going in both ways too.
Yeah.
Because occasionally she'll go like, this 8-year-old child is clearly my childhood friend, and I will accept no other reason to the contrary.
Yeah, and then they have to gaslight her.
And it's a morally good thing that they did.
Yep.
And then he feels guilty about it, so it evens out, I suppose.
Sure.
I suppose. The abusive coach from White Knights is extremely pissed off that these weaklings managed to get even a single touchdown on them. This is an embarrassment against Demon. What pathetic losers you all are.
And basically they're set up so that they have the option to either continue the score after the touchdown or go for a field goal. And Sena needs to have a demon bat hallucination to explain. I just love it because this could have been one panel explaining this rule in a very boring way, or like 4 pages of a slot machine explaining that you can either kick it for 1 point or run for the touchdown for an extra 3.
Yeah, as the demon bat, who is obviously Haruma, is tormenting him with laser eyes and a giant slot machine. It's great.
This, I mean, I totally agree. This could have been done in like such a boring, like straightforward way, but no, Eyeshield 21 always goes the extra mile. Like, I love this because it's like, assumedly this is all happening in Sena's head. So like, okay, like as the reader, I could like, this is a cool way for them to like explain this particular rule, but you also kind of have to wonder like, Well, I kind of want to see like how he's explaining it to his fellow players, because like that doesn't really make any sense, but it doesn't matter. Like this whole sequence really reminded me of that one SpongeBob episode where it's like SpongeBob trying to learn fine dining and breathing, where you just have like all the different Senas running around like, oh, come on, what's the rule? What's the rule?
Come on, baby, what's the name? As the computer catches on fire.
We threw out his name!
All we learned is footballing and errand boying. The strategy has a new challenger as Cube Man. Muraota is reminded by the coach that he's too much of a dumbass. Stop thinking, just run at them, you bloody moron. And he's like, ooh, boss, right.
Yeah, basically, they learn that the White Knights are actually good at football, so he doesn't get to keep pulling the same trick.
And with the first down done, it's time for Ojo's offense to come out, which means the entire Demon team is still on the field because they don't have enough people to swap out offense and defense. So now with the offensive team out there, which means Sakuraba is out there and all the fangirls are squeeing. I really love the like stretch panel of just like all the fangirls, like one dude who seems annoyed he got caught up in all of this. Some of them look like they're about to throw themselves out of the stands to be near him.
That one girl looks like she's jumping to crowd surf to him.
Yeah, she's going for it.
We also get the commercial he was in for the American Burger where it's shaped like a football.
God,
and I'm like, perfect.
That looks like it'd be a huge ass sandwich.
Especially for the Japanese market. Like,
it's a big burger. It's American burger.
You're right. It is American sized. They're on offense.
And with the sides now swapped, they have their brand new strategy, which is just keep letting him pass. Just keep letting him pass. Lure him into a false sense of security. Give him like 10 yards at a time. All right. They're used to it. They're conditioned. Cool. Sena, intercept. And this works because remember how we mentioned that Sakuraba is kind of pathetic? He never runs. He gets past the ball, he catches it, and then downs every time. He plays incredibly safely. Like, boring crawl levels of safe. And this is actually what allows Sena to complete the gambit. As he speeds over to him, I wasn't entirely sure what was going on in the moment, but I guess it was because Sena was jumping into him, causing him to have to like lean back super far to see the ball and catch it. The sun got in his eyes and he completely biffs it. So Sena completes the intercept.
Well, not really, because the spin on the ball is too much for his weak little boy hands to hold. And he trips up, which convenient, because Hamura knew he was going to fail.
Yep. And Haruma was right there, ready to grab the ball and bowl for it, baby.
Yeah, but then what's great is that, like, again, this is another trick where he runs with the ball, everybody's after him, then he lightly tosses the ball back to Sena as he tries to go for a touchdown, but I think ends up out of bounds. And I honestly think this might be my favorite play in the entire game, because I think Sena at one point kind of realizes, like, oh, football is basically a glorified game of like tug of war, and like I think this is a great example of that. This honestly kind of literally I was kind of like with everybody else, because everybody kind of watches this happen and they're like, oh damn, he almost had it. Like, I was kind of there with them, honestly.
No, all according to plan. All according to Keikaku.
They basically just Russian nesting doll this ball between the two opposite sides. Their genius play worked too well, because White Knights have decided to stop this tomfoolery and play their trump card. Shin is being allowed to enter the field.
He has been unleashed.
God,
and my God,
this is man.
His introduction art is.
I couldn't take this seriously, honestly, because they've been hyping him up to the point where when he's finally introduced, I just couldn't at this point. Something in me just could not accept that he was supposed to be a protagonist. in this manga.
Look, his introduction would not have looked out of place in Record of Ragnarok.
That's what I'm saying. It was so overhyped. I'm like, this is a joke. This is not serious at all.
No, it's definitely serious because football is always serious.
It's both serious and unserious at the same time, and that's what makes Eyeshield 21 one of the best comics ever drawn, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's spectacular, the balance between the two.
Real quick, fun little fact that I sent over to Matt earlier, because I have been a fan of Eyeshield 21 for a long time, and that means that I have, there was a time where I was looking up anything I could, and I remember finding, because do you guys remember back in the day when like some anime actually went out of their way to have their voice actors for the characters record like whole ass character songs, like obviously in character?
Yes.
And Eyeshield 21 definitely has a collection of character songs. I really don't remember any of them, but Shin does have his own character song that I think Matt posted in the chat earlier. If you listen to it, like, here's the thing. It's the best character song. It's my favorite personally because it's so like intimidating and evil sounding. Like, if you didn't know anything about this character and you listen to this song, you would think that like he was the big bad of the entire series. I can't tell if it like represents him correctly or not, but at the same time, it's a great song and everybody should listen to it.
The dramatic organ at the start really doesn't help his villain vibes.
That kills me every time.
That's all I'm saying. Why is he being introduced like he's Ganondorf?
Because he lives in a castle on a hilltop.
Now is the time when I love how they still try. Hiruma still tries to be underhanded by loudly screaming about how they're going to pass. So Gorilla Man, of course, immediately buys this, and Shin's just like, "No, they're tricking you. Don't listen to them. Why would you listen to them?"
What?
Oh yeah, they might have said the opposite, so I'd do the thing.
You're so smart, Shin.
what I love about that is that like Hiruma, yells like, "Oh, we're gonna make the pass," and Sena's like, "Only an idiot would say that." And it immediately cut to Odawara, like again another great comedic.
And now it is time to display all of Shin's power as they go for the next play. They hand the ball over to Sena and just have him start bolting off. He's got his shields up. He's ready to go. And Shin and Kurita go to clash, but he's just too fast. Even if Kurita could beat him in power, he gets outmaneuvered. And another great comedic panel is anytime two players face off, there's a little fighting game versus that appears. It is Kurita versus Shin. He immediately gets juked, and then next panel, Shin versus Sena.
I also love that Eyeshield 21 is also really great at like being a cartoon as well. So like you'll get like really great comedic reactions, like Sena having a reaction kind of out of like a Looney Tunes cartoon where like his helmet and his eye shield like comedically fly off his head for a second, which, as funny as that is, on this read, I couldn't help but think like, man, I really hope like does that technically give away his identity? But it doesn't matter because it's funny, and you're not really supposed to think about it.
Yeah, I think it's just supposed to be funny. And we have Shin go for the juke, which appears effective right off the bat. But no, the analysts catch it. Shin has still won as he lunges out with his entire body, managing to catch Sena with just his hand and still almost cracking his ribs as he is brought down. The spear tackle! His super move.
God, all I could think of when I read this panel was I don't know if you guys ever heard of Jump Ultimate Stars, the like Super Smash Brothers game that was on the DS like back in 2006, yes. Except all with Shonen Jump characters at the time. No Eyeshield 21 characters are playable, but they are available as like supports, and Shin is one of them. So like if you equip Shin to your team and you use him, he comes out and does a spear tackle. which is great.
And it's the most powerful support in the game. I will accept no other explanation.
Basically.
Oh, yeah.
We have an interesting scene where Shin is like, oh yeah, pain, that thing I'm always running away from. Ow.
So this is what it feels like.
Pain hurts.
That sucked.
People die when they are killed.
Yes.
No, but the great thing is, despite that, he, taking a serious hit for the first time in his admittedly very short football career, it doesn't make him immediately bold. He sets up for the next play. I also love how Shin takes him out in the next time. He's just like, wait a minute, this kid is 5 foot nothing, and just picks him up.
Yoink.
Yeah, this they explain what a genius play this is, because if they tackle him, the Devil Bats get possession of the ball. But if they lift him up and steal the ball from him, they get possession of the ball. And that doesn't seem legal.
I'm pretty sure that's not allowed. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen any football players as small as Sena, which would allow this to be a potentially viable play, but
He just holds him up like a little baby. Like,
yeah. And
his memory on the side just going like, no, I want to hold him like that. Stop. That's my baby. Holding him up like he's showing him off the fried rock.
This allows the White Knights to get a touchdown, and unfortunately, it's the beginning of a steep decline as they get touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. Shin is ripping them to pieces.
Yeah. Cut to that bit from The Simpsons where the kid's crying, no, stop, he's already dead.
No, the pain must continue until morale improves.
They besmirched the White Knights' honor by scoring at all. They need to be crushed.
We get a great scene with Sakuraba where his manager is basically just bullying him into wearing the merch sticker, because he's just like, they paid for it. Come on. Advertisers are basically your bread and butter. The coach doesn't want me wearing this. Yeah, but he doesn't pay the bills. Aww.
Can you fork over hundreds of thousands of yen?
No.
Then put on the sticker.
So anyway, because he's getting the just absolute shit beat out of him, Sena decides he's going to turn tail and run.
Mm-hmm.
Which, fair.
I also love this. He's so incredibly fast. We get one great little comedy panel of it's halftime, so everybody's going to the bathroom. The girls' line is out the building because there's so many girls there to see Sakuraba.
Some consistency here. I appreciate that.
Oh, I was gonna say, is it like, get it, guys? Women take too long in the bathroom. Am I right?
I mean, it could be that, but it could also be the fact that it's like a 30-to-1 gender difference, all because of this one pretty boy.
We have seen the stands. There is literally like 90% women here.
It's just capacity, sir.
I think between like the like 2 or 3 crowd shots we get, like the really big ones, I think I counted like maybe 3 men.
Yeah, seriously. And that's I think Sena ran. No, he did run into the men's room. I don't know why I thought he ran into the girls' room. Maybe just because that would be funnier. He used his super speed to cut the line so fast nobody noticed him.
Yeah, he just goes into the women's room and then like immediately zips out into the men's room. That would have been kind of funny.
Nah, he goes into the men's room. He writes his note about how he is heading out. Hey, Sena, you're back from your run to the video store. Where's Eyeshield 21? Oh, I just passed him on the way here. He gave me this note to give to Haruma. I'm just gonna hand that off to him.
So you're saying he abandoned us? What a shame. I really looked up to him. He was super cool looking.
He was so cool, and I was having a good time playing with him. I really wanted to do better, be the shield that he needed.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was doing Memory's voice because I was going to be like,
oh,
exactly the type of guy I would have dated.
Oh, right in the feeling.
You're right. The track and field guy is also sad that his boyfriend left, but
aren't we all?
I would say there's enough of him to go around, but there really isn't. He's too small.
Yeah, that's true. That's right.
He would try though. Very hard.
He's fast enough. He can do like Killua's after image of like.
When's that gonna happen in 100 Girlfriends?
Oh my god, he would do that. But yeah, everyone's basically feeling down and out, and Sena realizes that he can't let everyone down, because if Eyeshield 21 gives up, he is the hero the team needs. And Haruma's basically like, I don't care. Even if it's 1,000,000,000 to 1 odds, that means there's still a chance.
As long as it's not 0, we're great.
And because this manga doesn't believe in subtlety, we get a great panel of Sena holding the note that he's going to give up, with Sakuraba holding the stupid hamburger merch that he has to wear. And they're both having the like moral dilemma of, I don't want to do it. Except Sakuraba gives in.
Yeah, one of them makes the right choice and the other one makes the wrong choice.
Again, I know writers who use subtlety, and they're all cowards.
You see, from my perspective, it's the Jedi that are evil.
What if it's straight Kuleshov effect, just the two of them, panel after panel, back and forth.
Yeah.
It's great.
But yeah, basically, he's going to go and fight because there is a slight chance that they can win.
And this is where we start seeing the true power of Sena, because he is still continuing to get outplayed by Shin, but with every play, he's getting a little bit harder to catch.
Getting a little bit faster.
A little bit faster, a little bit slicker.
Yeah, and Hiruma comes up to Shin and is like, hey, he's faster than you. And he just leaves.
Nuh-uh.
Nuh-uh. But
Loser says what?
What? Oh, no!
Which, yeah, obviously that doesn't work on Shin, but he does the same thing to Otawara, like, hey, Kurita's stronger than you. What the f***? What?
But yeah, unfortunately, Haruma does some quick mental math, realizes that the other team still has timeouts, I guess it is the thing. So he's just like, well, they're just going to run out the clock. That's dumb. I'm not going to wait around to lose. And he starts packing up because Haruma's not going to lose.
Yeah, I mean, you can't lose the game if you stop the game.
If I just take my ball and go home.
Yeah, it's like he never lost at all.
It's like I win.
It's really interesting because he's like talking all about this, like, if we've got 0.1 chance, that's still a chance. I'm fighting for that baby. Let's go. And then when he thinks it's truly hopeless, he's like, well, screw this. I'm heading home.
Well, yeah, because realistically, there is no chance of winning. They can just delay the rest of the game out. So he's just like, I don't give a shit about sportsmanship. So if we're gonna lose, then we just forfeit right here. It doesn't matter. Like I'm not here for the thrill of the game. I'm here to win.
Yeah, we should be clear that at this point the game is like 56-6. So yeah, it's gonna be a little hard to catch up.
It is insane how hard they're getting trounced, and they're going into the fourth quarter.
Like if even they did a massive turnaround, the other team would just delay until the game ends. There's no reason to think they have any chance of winning. So the one thing though is Sena, Eyeshield 21 basically goes, no, I don't want to give up because at the very least I can beat Shin. We can't win the game, but I can beat him.
And Haruma is willing to play that one out. He's like, I need to see that. And so he gets back in the game, which the team rallies to him pretty hard. Despite what the unrepentant monster he is, the team seems to genuinely respect him as their leader.
I feel like, I mean, this is a great moment at all, but I do kind of feel like realistically, like if Hiruma, if the only reason that Hiruma is keeping this game going is to kind of let Sena fight against his boyfriend, like I kind of feel like realistically the rest of the team wouldn't be up for that because like we're just playing the game so you could beat Shin, like this, I'm going home, like, but you know it's supposed to be an inspirational moment, and you know the main character needs to grow.
And
see, the difference is the rest of the team likes Eyeshield. They don't like Haruma.
That's fair. Yeah.
But yeah, so basically they keep playing. He's getting a little bit faster each time. He's slowly getting better than Shin, but there's too much of a gap. And unfortunately, Sakuraba loses his little medallion of his hamburger supremacy, runs out into the field because he's an idiot, and then just gets demolished by Sena.
Yeah, because while Sena might not have a lot of mass, it's moving extremely quickly.
God.
And he full on just car crashes into Sakuraba, breaking his freaking collarbone.
And again,
the girls are
and
not
again
happy.
they set this up ahead of time where, you know, you had the Shogun, the coach, yell at Ito earlier and be like, hey, don't disrespect the equipment. It's going to lead to injuries. And what happened? It led to injuries.
Coach was right. Even if he's a shouty asshole, he was right. But my favorite part about this particular chapter is the opening bit with Shin's flashback, where they're doing trials, speed trials on the team, and it's like he goes. He can complete the 40-yard dash in 4.37 seconds. It's like, that's so amazing. You're so fast. And he's like, no, there is another barrier. If 4.4 is the world of the speed of sound, I must achieve the speed of light, 4.2. He's so dramatic. Like, dude, you're playing high school football. I understand you're into it, but please.
But yeah, that kind of comes up though, because in the end, they've got to play, and Sena runs for it and just finally manages to get like an insane burst of speed and basically just vanishes in front of Shin. Like, he just takes off faster than Shin can even keep up with, as if he just teleported in a blink of light. Because he achieved that speed of light.
And he bolts straight into the end zone for a touchdown, baby!
And then they still lost by an insane amount of points,
but they got that second touchdown.
Heck yes.
68-12.
Uh-huh.
Hey, it was impressive, for sure.
I also love how Shin points out how absolutely ridiculous Sena's endurance is, because he's like, he hasn't had a break all game. He's been doing these insane running plays. He's always running top speed. He should be completely exhausted. Why is he getting faster?
It's got to be that runner's high.
Oh yeah, he's on that runner's high all the time, baby.
Yep.
Which makes me think like actively processing a rodent metabolism.
But I think this is the point where, like, Sena basically sits out the rest of the game, I think, because there's not really much else he could do. He beat Shin. That's kind of all that matters to him. And Mamori comes up and tries to give him a drink. And, you know, Eyeshield 21 accidentally referring to Mamori by her name, realizing he screwed up. But thankfully, Mamori is the dumbest character in this manga. And she's like, wait a minute. Are you friends with Sena? Did he tell you about me? And like we were like, and she's like, oh man, man, you know, Sena, man, I'm really glad he's not around to hear me say this, but I gotta be honest, I kind of wish he wasn't such a pussy. Like, why can't he be more like you?
You really are an inspiration to short kings everywhere. See, not all of you tiny guys are so pathetic and weak like Sena.
Some of you are actually dateable. Like you.
And I love, this is what I was talking about earlier. This is so intense that even Haruma feels sympathy. Yeah, he's standing up to the side like, how cruel.
You gotta really burn someone hard to get Haruma to be like, geez, oh,
girl, please.
He's already dead. Stop.
But I mean, essentially, the game is over at this point, 68-12.
But despite the fact that they won the game, many of the members of the White Knights know that they lost their personal challenges against their foes on the other side, and are duly crushed by it. Like, Big Gorilla Man is like flinging his helmet around and growling, and Shin is, well, he's being Shin, he's moping. Well, not brooding. Yeah. There you go.
No, Sakuraba is moping. Well, honestly, more than moping, he's devastated.
He does have a broken collarbone, so
he's got a broken collarbone and the realization that he is completely useless to this football team.
Yeah, because I think the guy that went with him to the hospital mentions that like one of the new freshmen or whatever who went in to sub in for him got to score a touchdown, which really puts into perspective for him like, wow, they really do not need me on this team. What am I even doing? And it's genuinely really heartbreaking.
He knows he's just a figurehead and he hates it.
And again, we've been kind of talking about it all episode about how this series really throws subtlety out the window, and you could see it when like one of the news anchors comes up to Shogun for his comment, and he basically explains the point of everybody's character arc and how like, yeah, sure, we won the game, but like, nobody came out a winner, and that's kind of the whole point of this game.
And they these media people are just the worst. They go to interview the demon bats, wanting to make them look pathetic, and Hiruma, not about to have any of that, storms over, plants his palm on the camera so that they can all, so that the whole world can see. Newcomers, welcome. You can find us here. He drew a little map of the school in the palm of his hand.
See, that's a great moment because, like, I don't know, Again, I've read this beginning part of the series like a million times, honestly, and like every time I get to this point, I'm genuinely fooled by like, oh well, Hiruma's actually just looking out for his friend, but no, actually he's just trying to get new recruits. My headcanon is that he's doing both at the same time, but like that's just me. Also, I love that the cameraman just sees Curry to crying, like his chance to get into this next tournament. Like this dude is like sobbing on the field. You feel so sorry for this dude, and the cameraman's just like, "Hey, look at that fatty sobbing over there. This will be good for ratings." Like, what an awful human being.
And I'm just like, how would that be good for ratings? That's just sad.
Well, guys, I don't know about you, but I love to see a good crying fat person. I think that's the funniest thing in the world.
Oh yeah,
this is Japanese TV.
Yeah.
Their number one game show for 5 years in a row was Cry Fatty Cry.
Yeah. We have our final chapter of the reading, aptly named Epilogue of Prologue.
And like, man, Sena just took a beating, and again, it starts off with a huge beating because he can barely walk straight. He's in so much pain. And Mamoru comes over, slaps him in the back, and just goes like, what are you worried about? You couldn't have possibly been at it. The team went through a lot. It's like, wait a second, your muscles ache. That's something that people who do a real job have. Wait, did they make you play in the game? Because if they ever tried to put someone as unqualified and useless as you in the game, I would go there and fight so that you don't have to do that.
Well then.
But no, you see, I just had to run around to get the tapes and batteries for the camcorder. Oh, that's okay. Wait, so now it's okay that he's an errand boy? What the fuck, lady?
Oh, but anyway, she gives him his lunch and a nice umbrella in case it rains.
Mm-hmm.
God, that moment. It's like, okay, manga, I get it. She babies him.
And then he's just like, oh, yum, I do love this lunch. And I'm like,
buddy,
have some self-respect here. I mean, it does look like a good lunch, but...
To his credit, as he's going through his day, he's like, "Oh, we lost the game, so we're out of the tournament. I don't have to do this football anymore. I can just go back to the way that things were." Yep, back to the way they were. Except I'm not getting bullied anymore. So, what do I do? And it's in this. It's not really a slump or like a nadir or anything, but it's like the beginning of a rut that he's about to get into. And he's like, well, I guess Hiruma did ask me to go through those pictures that he scammed out of the girls.
I love how this is paneled too, because it's as he's like looking through the pictures, he kind of comes to a realization that was fun and he felt alive while he was doing that. And that kind of breaks the background to be him reliving the memories.
The smile on his face when he finds a picture that he recognizes as his touchdown. It's like, oh, that warmed my heart so much.
And again, the page.
He's so proud.
The page turn here is really great too, because like once you turn the page, it's a full 2-page spread of him just in an empty classroom, basically being catapulted back into reality. Like it's so jarring, but like in the best way possible.
And then because it's so jarring, and he's just like, that time is over, there's just a full page of him crying.
I don't understand how you can read this and not be a little sad.
He had a moment of genuine like happiness and fulfillment, and now it's gone.
Except it's not.
Because that'd be a really depressing way to end this story. No, what are you talking about? There's 2 qualifying tournaments for the Christmas Bowl, you idiot.
What actually matters is the fall games.
Now we can't go to the clubhouse because they're renovating it. Who's paying for that? The principal. I blackmailed him. Anyway, it's time to review these plays so that we can do better next time. We have to prepare to crush them.
And then because it's a sports manga, we have to end with him training in the rain, as is tradition.
Yes.
Yep. He's got the drive.
Again.
He's going places.
I know. We've been saying this a lot. Another amazing 2-page spread of him practicing his side steps in the rain. Like, you could tell Sena has that drive now. And I look, me personally, I feel like if you're not sold on Eyeshield 21 at this exact moment, then it's not for you. I don't know what else to say.
That's what we end our reading on. And that is Eyeshield 21. So, going into our discussion, favorite character, and there were only 2 games, so favorite play. Oh, God. I know that Haruma is like the obvious choice because, God, what a character. But also, Sena's such an amazing pro tag. It's a coin toss between them, but Haruma. He's
All right, and your favorite play?
My favorite play, definitely the interception. It's so dynamic because it's got Sena, intercepting but fumbling. Haruma picks it up. He passes it back to Sena, and they do this teamwork, just bolting down the entire length of the gridiron to get to the field goal. To get to the end zone. It's so good, and it reminds me of my favorite play from when we read Blue Lock. I just love a final second turnaround into a runaway win. It's one of the coolest things that can happen in a sports game in general and sports manga in particular. Colton, how about you? Favorite character and favorite play?
Boy, I mean, at least at this point in the story, I mean, it's like you said, it's a real coin toss, but I at this point it has to be Hiraba. Like, if I had to pick like a second favorite, it probably would be either Sena or Shin. No, you know what? Sena second, Shin third. Shin, I just think is he is just the most. He's the most serious character in the most unserious manga you've ever read, and I just kind of love that about him. Like I think the more
he is entirely the wrong story.
Yeah, he's the only one in the story that I think takes things just a little too seriously, much more seriously than like even all the rest of the characters. Like everything with him is great. I did mention earlier that that the interception, all of that was kind of my favorite play, but I didn't get a chance to. I guess I could highlight another one that I really liked. It's kind of a small moment, but I think right after that, they have a play that they pull off against Odawara, where he rushes through all the Devil Bats' linemen to try to take down Ishimaru and get to Sena, who he thinks has the ball. But it turns out while he was rushing towards Sena, he actually passed the ball to Hiruma while they were like behind the linemen where he couldn't see, and it's just like this great like. It's this kind of great like sequence of replay. They literally kind of draw it in slow-mo almost, where it's like, oh, you can see Sena pass the ball to Hiruma, and while Odawara is going towards Sena, Hiruma's the one like running away with the ball. You could even see in like that first panel, even before that sequence, you can, if you look in like way far back, you could see Hiruma kind of reaching out his hand to Sena. So like again, I just really appreciate the level of detail, not just in the storytelling, well, I guess in the visual storytelling, I'll call it, where they really do set up a lot of this stuff ahead of time. Like if you like, this series rewards you for paying attention, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's a wonderful little detail to help to have the astute reader or the guy in the reread be like, there it is, that's the moment. just like Leonardo DiCaprio, like, oh, there it is. Matt, how about you? Favorite character and favorite play?
Man, it's hard because there's so many great characters in this. I think based on the fact that he interacts with all of them, I really got to go with Sena as my favorite, just because he gets the best interactions with Hiruma, and he also lets me have my other favorite character, Momori, mostly just because how much she just dogs on him and really just she loves Eyeshield but doesn't love him. He just wants her to notice him, but as an actual person, not a little puppy dog. It's great. I love it. Also, I'm a sucker for a protagonist who decides he wants to work really hard even though he's not the best at something.
Yeah, and classic.
For favorite play, I'm also going to be basic. I got to go with the final touchdown with Sena, where he unlocked the speed of light. And just because they set up Shin so much for he's kind of at that, like, I'm so good at the game, I'm bored. And just to have out of nowhere someone he'd been crushing over and over again suddenly just dip beyond his grasp. Because it also unlocks my favorite thing about sports manga, which is unlocking a character who just wants to win. Like, just something you don't get in a lot of shonens because the stakes are too high to have someone who's just like, I always want to win. That pure unbridled joy that Blue Lock just thrives in, but is here in a little bit of just like, it's not enough that I succeed, other people must lose.
And Jay, favorite character and favorite play?
My favorite does not need any introduction, and for me, it's barely a contest. Hiruma. Character design is out of this world, and it took a bit, but I embrace the crazy insanity that is Hiruma.
Jay, on a scale of 1 to 10, could you fix him?
It'd be hard, but I think I could. I think I could. Yeah. Favorite play. I don't have, unfortunately, nothing really new here. I particularly liked the interception play merely because it had that hallmark flashback callback to practicing and kind of recall of something you were unsure of and had practiced maybe for the first time only so short time ago, and you're like, yes, the gratification of something that you had learned, you were suspicious of, perhaps the execution of, and just having to pull that through for you. Really enjoyed some of the shots there that I found myself having to really page through of like, that is pretty neat, I guess. So, favorite character, Hiruma, favorite play, Sena's interception.
Hell yeah. All right, and the classic would you continue reading? Colton, I think this is a pretty given answer for you.
I don't know, guys. I think this manga kind of sucks. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not sure if I would keep reading. I'm obviously kidding. I read this. I read the entirety of this. God, how long has it been at this point? God, was that 14 years ago? It might have been 14 years ago. I love time. Yeah, I gotta be honest. Like, God. if I weren't like reading other things at the moment, I might be tempted to just do an entire reread right now. Honestly, like I think you guys picked a really great stopping point for the show, because I genuinely, like I said it earlier, I genuinely do think, you know how like, you know, people will say like, oh, Arlong Park is like when One Piece gets good, and that's like the moment everybody knows whether they want to keep reading or not. That's kind of what this is to me. Like if you don't want to keep reading after this, then I don't know. I genuinely don't know what to tell you. The series is not for you. And that's totally fine. But like, I just don't know how you don't want to keep reading. Cause like, I can tell you guys, it genuinely gets better and better as it goes on. So.
I mean, that's definitely by design too, because the chapter we stopped on is called Epilogue of Prologue. Like,
Let's hope Haruma stays the same.
God.
Like this is 20 chapters to know if you want to read something, whereas Arlong Park is like 90.
Something like
that's
that.
an insane thing to ask someone.
That's
Like,
evil.
oh yeah, just read the first 90 chapters of this to see if you like it. Like, no, that's a stupid thing to tell people.
Oh,
Like,
and and this is my last point, and I promise we can move on. But something else I really wanted to point out is that another thing I really love about this series is that, you know, I really love a manga with an ensemble cast, the Eyeshield 21 cast, not just with the Devil Bats, you know, the more people that we get, you know, the further we get on to the story, but like the other football teams they face off against and all that stuff. Like, I feel like this is one of the few manga that I've read where like every cast member, I feel like, gets enough time to shine and gets enough time to like really leave an impact. Like I can't. And again, I haven't read through the whole series in a while, but like I feel like the first time I read through this, you know, I can't think of a character I got to when we got done with their arc or whatever, where I thought like, oh, I could have really used more of them. Like, no, I love a good series where all the characters like you get enough of them, like you get your fill. You're never really like left wanting for more in terms of like their development or their screen time. And I love that about this series.
Strong pacing like that for character arcs is always difficult to pull off, but always wonderful to see. Matt, would you continue reading?
oh, hell yeah. I love Eyeshield 21. I'm actually not sure how much of the manga I read, considering I told you I mostly consume this as the anime. And our One Punch Man episodes have told you how much I love Murata and everything he draws.
Yep.
He is a close second to
Koichi.
Yep. Thanks, Sam. You got it.
Yep. If those two ever collabed on something, it would be the most beautiful thing any of us ever read.
I can't even imagine, honestly.
I love how ugly Boichi draws incredibly attractive people. Like, they're too hot is the problem.
It's uncanny.
Okay, genuinely, that's a criticism I've heard of Boichi's art, and I love Boichi's stuff too. Like, I was a big fan of Dr. Stone while that was running, and that was a criticism I saw around was, man, Boichi's art is amazing, but man, I don't know about his women. I've genuinely never heard anyone go, you know what the problem was with Boichi's women? They were so hot, they were ugly. I've never heard anybody else say that. So that's a first.
To be fair, not a problem with his women. His men are equally so hot. They're ugly.
Too hot.
They're just both are just incredibly attractive. To the point, like, the error detecting part of your brain goes, hold up, no one can be that attractive. Something must be wrong there.
Yes.
It's too hot.
This is my primary accolade and primary complaint of all of his work. It's awful. It's too hot.
I can't look away. It's burning into my brain. Jay, would you continue reading Eyeshield 21?
I think I would. I would have to categorize this under one of the very few sports manga that I actually didn't entirely mind reading. So, yeah.
Okay. That's good at least.
And I would absolutely continue reading if it wasn't for the fact that we had to actually start the podcast and I'm in the middle of a move. I would have continued to read past our prescribed ending point. So I'm definitely going to look into more of this and probably seek out the anime because just looking at a few clips, it definitely looks like some mid-2000s cheese, but I love that.
Oh, Sam, it gets crazy when they start having superpowers.
Beautiful.
Oh, but Colton, I'd like to thank you for coming up on the podcast. It's been good having you. How about you let the people know where they can listen to more of you?
Well, first off, thank you guys for having me on. Genuinely, Eyeshield 21, I think is my favorite comic of all time. I think I could say that. It's genuinely, I don't know. I could gush on for another 3 hours, but I know we don't have 3 hours, so I'm gonna save you guys the time. Or you know what? If you guys ever cover more Eyeshield 21, please feel free to have me back on. That's totally up to you, but I'm just putting that out there. But I really did enjoy coming on and talking about one of my favorite comics. As where you could find me. Hi, I'm Colton. You can find me on Twitter at SniperKing323. I'm also under the same handle on Blue Sky as well. I'll try to start using that website more as Twitter slowly continues to crumble. We're just kind of waiting for it to die at this point. But that's neither here nor there. As for my other podcasts, like I mentioned at the top of the show, I am one of the hosts of the Manga Mavericks podcast, where it's basically kind of our own little corner of the internet where we get to talk about manga, not just like the different manga we read, but what's going on in the industry, such as, again, new licenses, new serializations, just kind of anything happening in the industry that we want to give our 2 cents on. As for my other podcasts, I have way too many to kind of list. I think the only other podcast I will mention that I did kind of offhandedly mention earlier is One Podcast Prevails, a podcast where my good friend Mike and I have been going over the entirety of the Detective Conan / Case Closed manga, a couple chapters at a time, depending on how long the case is. We've had Matt on a few episodes. I think at the time we're recording this, we just recorded an episode, I think a few weeks back, that should be up on our feed. So if you're into Detective Conan and you want to hear Matt on that show, please go listen. It's a lot of fun. I love talking about Detective Conan as well. It's a good series. As for my other shows, you could find links to basically everything I'm doing over my personal blog at coltoncorner.wordpress.com. Over there, it's my personal blog where I have a dedicated podcast page filled with links to basically anything I'm doing at the moment, stuff I'm not doing anymore, but I still want to link anyway, and even guest spots on other podcasts that I've done, including over Manga Cast. I was previously on an episode talking about Mashle, Magic, and Muscles, and that was a lot of fun as well. So if you haven't listened to that episode, that's listed amongst all my other guest spots as well. I think I mentioned it earlier. I've been podcasting for a while, 10 years, in fact. This year actually marks my 11th year. So yeah, again, if you want to listen to basically anything else I'm a part of, once again, coltoncorner.wordpress.com, click on the podcast page and check out all my other stuff.
Damn, we need to pick up the pace.
Yeah, I'll say that's incredible. Congrats, dude.
I guess I am technically a veteran podcaster. I think that's what that makes me. I don't know. It's
your podcasting career is now old enough to drink.
Well, give it like another 10 more years. I think 11 years old is a little too young to drink, my friend.
Wow, Mamori. How long are you going to keep babying the boy?
And if you want to listen to more, or if you want to experience more incredibly high quality posts like that, make sure to follow at @OverMangaCast on all of your social medias. You can also find us on YouTube. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It's also a good place to leave comments. And that is one of our premier locations for receiving recommendations. We definitely need more of those. They always usually get pretty good episodes out of them.
And as always, we appreciate reviews in any and all forums and wherever you can review podcasts anymore. I don't know. But you can also reach out to us directly over mangacast@gmail.com or over mangacast.com. Has a nice little comment feature. And if you're listening there, go down, say hi. I don't bite unless you ask for it. That's $5 on the OnlyFans, where we have that name registered, but we're not doing anything with it. Make us.
They don't need to know that.
Give us enough followers there, and we might just.
I don't know how websites work.
Spicy feet pics.
Speaking of lewd things.
Speaking of lewd things, oh no, it's Valentine's Day next week.
Oh, God.
Yep. So grab someone you love. We're going to be reading, or perhaps several someones, because we're going to be reading The 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love You, chapters 39 through 59.
It's going to get intense, guys.
I know we're at least getting to girlfriend number 10, so we are 10% of the way to finishing that blasted manga.
Girlfriends could form an American
They
football team.
could.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Yeah.
They already did
I'd
a
watch
baseball
it.
team. Well, all I'm saying is they already did a baseball team. It could happen again.
Good. Well, join us for that degeneracy next week. Good night, everybody.
See ya.
Good night.
Good night.